Hi, I am Dr. Kim Sage. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so glad you're here. I'm going to change up my normal videos today because I wanted to share something that I think is really important as I talk so much about Polyvagal Theory and how to work on calming and soothing your body. Because basically what has happened is you came out of the womb as a little human and you met your whatever caregiver you had, and they already had an attachment pattern and they already had a pattern of nervous system regulation responses, their go-to, their fight or flight or their collapse, and then their avoidance or their anxiousness or whatever. And so you had to learn to interact and adapt with their attachment pattern and their nervous system pattern and to survive and get your needs met. And with every caregiver, it's going to be a little bit different. It's like a puzzle piece, right? We have to find a way to fit. Sometimes we don't fit well. Sometimes even as parents, our children have different temperaments and different responses, and it can make it harder when the puzzle pieces don't fit. When, let's say, you're really anxious and they're more collapsed, or you're really anxious and because of something like ADHD, they have a hard time following through and listening, and so then that creates more tension, right? Whatever it is, at all times, we are responding both inside and outside. That is the idea of neuroception by Dr. Stephen Porges, that we know that helps understand what we're doing at all times with our nervous system. And so I wanted to share a polyvagal technique that is a first step. If you like this, I will share more of these. But the idea is that we have to deal with our bodies. And I hear this, I know you hear it all of the time. But we can't just think our way out of anxiety, for example. We have to do things to help our body realize that we don't have to stay in a hypervigilant, super activated state. And that can be really difficult, especially if our caregivers were wired that way. Or if they were super collapsed and neglectful and shut down and avoided. And that didn't feel good either and created, trauma. We want to learn to find other ways to relate to people. And so what can be really compromised is the idea of that ventral vagal state, that ventral vagal connection. This is the idea and state of the body where we feel seen and where we can see and where we feel heard and where we can hear. It is really this idea kind of like when you are in yoga, right? When you're very present and it feels good in your body and you know what's going on with others. That is the goal with this exercise today. So the first part is really called ventral vagal anchors, which is the idea of setting up an anchor to the parts of your daily experience that increase your sense of calm and well-being and connection. And that is especially true around our homes. Now I want to share as an example, long before I learned this theory and I was learning to do guided meditation, we had a house where it was a pretty small house. And I had this closet inside my bedroom. It was like these two mirrored doors. It was like in between my bedroom and the bathroom. And my kids were still really young, and so I would go in there and light a candle, turn down the lights, and sit in this space between these two mirrors trying to practice meditation and things like that so I could teach my patients. And when I was in like that flow and that zone, it would be so amazing. And all I would do was just, pull out a nice pillow and a little candle. It wasn't even there was no room in this house for me to have a space. And I would say the same is pretty much true now, except my kids are older, so it's a little bit easier. But basically, I would be in there, and then at some point, they would start banging on the door, "Mommy!" Like, I'm trying to freaking meditate. And it would kind of blow the whole thing. But the point is, I realized that I started to associate that space with a feeling of calm. Because even though sometimes it was interrupted, my brain started to understand that when I did that practice and when it ended, I was going to feel some kind of shift inside. And so this is just for you. If you live in a 10,000 square foot home or a 500 square foot space or less, you can find these little places to create connection and calm and soothing experiences in your home. And so that's what this exercise is. So to create these anchors, though, we're going to start with who. And what I mean by who is that who are the people or the animals who brings a sense of peace and joy and connection into your life. And it may actually just be your dog. It may be that everyone else stresses you out, and that's okay, or your cat, or your many dogs and kittens, as I have. But the point is that, or even my children, right? It doesn't mean that all of the time they bring me this calming and soothing energy, but in general, even thinking of them, we can have also memories of people, memories of even, like, let's say, a grandparent we lost. It can be characters from books or movies. The idea, though, is to come up with a list of when you think about these experiences of humans or animals or whatever it is, that it somehow gives you a sense of peace and joy inside. So in a notebook, in your phone, you would want to write that down. The next one is what. So you want to think about what in your life brings you into that ventral, vagal, peaceful kind of state. It could be little small things, like the way that you come out in the morning and have your coffee and light a candle, and maybe you just sit and watch the birds, as I've talked about. It could be moments when you go outside and just sit in the grass on a blanket in your yard or at a park. It could be, making tea for yourself. It's just thinking about, what are you doing? What is happening when you can find yourself? What brings you into a more peaceful, connected state of mind? And you can feel it because your energy is like this, right? It's not like my usual talking 90 miles an hour. I'm really trying today. It is really, peaceful and slow and powerful in its ability to connect you. The next one is where. So you want to take a tour, this is what Deb Dana talks about in her book, of the world, of your personal space. Where? Is it a little corner in your room? Is it a pillow in the corner with a candle? Is it on your back porch? Is it when you walk down, like I said, to the park or the forest or a beach or the mountains somewhere? So think about places in your community and your home and your neighborhood and in your mind that give you a sense of spiritual, calm, soothing. I don't mean religious, I mean just connected to the world, to energy, to people, to the source of whatever you believe in. The idea is where. Where does that happen most for you? Where can you make it happen? And then when. Identify moments about when you have those experiences. When does it happen most? Does it happen more in the morning? Late at night when everyone's asleep and it's just you? Is it on your lunch break in your car when you leave work? Right? When is it? Is it on the weekends? Try to just be observational and be conscious about when. And it might even just be that you were doing something. Maybe you were shopping at the mall and all of a sudden you just felt like, I'm good. This is enjoyable. Right? I'm just looking at things. I'm not on a mission to buy something. Or maybe you're in the market just, buying groceries. Or maybe it is when, like I said, you're doing something special, but trying to figure out when are you more likely able to connect to that. And then to create a sort of portfolio Deb Dana talks about. She is a great resource if you're a therapist for materials. If not, it doesn't maybe matter as much, but the idea is that creating a kind of like a book or a notebook. I'm actually still working on a journal that is going to be a very quick, short way to connect to childhood and to your healing process. And so this is actually in that, but like when and where and how, all of the things and who help you feel most calm, most soothed, and most connected. So once you get that sorted out, I would say that doing something like a guided meditation on any of the apps can be helpful. Doing some breathing, like 4 square breathing or square breathing or box breathing, where you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 4, and then you pause and do nothing for 4, at least 4 times, making sure you're not driving, where you can just be, peaceful and maybe close your eyes. The idea is to get into that state and to use this little idea book, this list, and then to start to try to find one moment a day or every other day. Maybe right now it's just once a week, where you mindfully try to get into some situation where you are likely to be able to slow down. here's an example for me. I've noticed that I used to get up, and I still struggle sometimes because I'm always trying to respond to comments or post things or read or do notes, and I tend to wake up really early. And so I would get up and I would just pull my laptop out of my phone and start checking emails and start reading the news, and I felt like I didn't have any other options. And what I've been working on this last couple years, and I don't always succeed at it though, is I get up and I do my routine. I let the dogs out and get the kitten and do my thing. And then I raise all the window coverings where I can see the birds, and I get a cup of espresso or coffee, and I try to just sit there for at least 30 minutes without doing anything else, but maybe just petting my dogs, or they're fighting over attention and love, but just trying to be present and let my mind wander before I go straight to those things that I was talking about. Now, the better step, even better, would probably be to then, like I used to do, which I'm still not back to, is some kind of guided meditation for 5 minutes on an app like Insight Timer or Calm or Headspace, and to wrap it all up that way. You can also sit there and just listen to music, right? Some kind of meditative music, some kind of like jazz, or just oftentimes non-lyrical music can be really soothing. For many of you, the idea of just being still feels like impossible. To just slow down and be present can feel scary and triggering. And so, pace yourself. Maybe all you can tolerate is 5 minutes. But the idea is to try to notice when you are feeling that peaceful and calm and soothed state, and to try to actively work to bring it more and more into your life, into your nervous system, into your healing, and into your relationships. So I hope that was helpful. Please stay safe and well, and I'll see you soon. Take good care.